Good morning, and thank you for joining us at the Governor's Small Business Summit here in Orange. I'm Dana Espinal, the director of the Small Business Development Center hosted at Lamar State College, Port Arthur. And we cover all of Orange County as part of our service area for the SBDC. I'll be moderating today's panel, Building a Business Owner's Perspective from Southeast Texas. Today, we're hearing from small business owners who've built their businesses right here in Southeast Texas. Their stories, experiences, and insights are invaluable, not only for those just getting started, but for anyone looking to grow and thrive in this region. We're going to take a few minutes, and the panelists are going to introduce themselves, and I've asked them to do a business pitch about their business, so they can tell you about themselves and their business, and then we'll get started with the panel discussion. And we'll start with Frankie.
Good morning. Thanks for the opportunity to be here. I appreciate it very much. My name is Frankie Randazzo. We started our business, Madison's on down, 21 years ago in Beaumont, Texas, with literally a drawing of a restaurant on a beverage nap, the Bev Nap at a Dave & Buster's in Houston. We wanted to bring a fun nighttime restaurant family kind of vibe to Southeast Texas. And we've expanded now into 2 states with 7 locations with about 300 to 350 employees, with one more big project planned in the next 2 years, which will kind of be our opus project. I can't share too much of it, but if we're able to do it, it's going to be a pretty big thing, and we're very excited about it. And we're very appreciative of the opportunity and the support that Orange County has given us over the last 21 years. Thank you.
My name's Stephen Gault. I am a real estate broker. I am a first generation small business owner in my family. The petrochemical industry is very strong in our area, and all of my family looked at me like I was crazy whenever I said, I'm gonna start a real estate company. They said, don't you want the safe play? Go work, get a job, get a retirement. And I said, I just have to follow this dream that's on the inside of me and start what is comfortable for me. And so in 1995, right out of high school, I started working at a real estate company in the bustling metropolis of Mauriceville, Texas. And I was answering phones and filing papers and worked my way up through it. Got my real estate license, got my brokerage license, and then went out on my own. And over the last 13 years have built a company that's rooted and grounded in Orange County. I'm a graduate of LCM. I was talking to Dr. Johnson, whom you heard from earlier. My daughter, who is a junior in high school, was inducted into Phi Beta Kappa right here at the local college. So they're providing great opportunities for my family here. But real estate is a huge passion of mine, not because of the what, but the why behind it. The why behind it is that we get to help people. And it's a joy and an honor to be here. We have grown a company that is supportive of Southeast Texas and Orange County and surrounding counties, but more importantly, we help people with some of the biggest financial decisions that they will ever make. And it is a true honor to get to help them in that avenue. So glad to be here this morning.
Hey, good morning. I'm Heather Teems. I am a franchisee with Anytime Fitness. Anytime Fitness has about 2,500 locations here in the U.S., 5,000 globally. And I am fortunate enough to own the locations in Vidor and Bridge City. I didn't start these businesses, I purchased them. The Vidor location I purchased in 2017. The Bridge City location I purchased at the end of 2022, and I have been able to grow both of those businesses. I took businesses that Bridge City was pretty much failing, Vidor was just operating, and now we're both thriving. And I'm excited to be here today and look forward to the discussion.
Thank you all for coming and joining us today and teaching us about your challenges and your opportunities and what it means to do business in Southeast Texas. We're going to get started with our first question. Stephen, this is for you. What would you say were key factors in choosing Southeast Texas to be where your business started and continues to operate today?
You know, for me, Southeast Texas is home, right? So I grew up off of 1130 in Little Cypress. There are so many opportunities for people here, whether it's work or play. We were having some discussion earlier about some potential growth for Orange County. But the reality is that there are ample opportunities, and you're here today at this summit because small business is at the core of that machine. That machine is one that is operating on the backs of good work environments. It operates on the backs of good people. And, you know, we have the opportunity to reach people across our paths, whether it's work, worship, or just hanging out at restaurants and spending our economic dollars in Southeast Texas. The reason that I chose to set up shop here is because of the culture that Southeast Texans have. And whether you're in Orange or you're in Vidor or you're in Bridge City, the reality is that people like each other here. And that's not the same for everything. There are collaborative efforts that are being made across industry lines. There are collaborative efforts being made within industries. And I think it's vital that we maintain that spirit, that we don't get so in our own way that we say, well, this is my industry and this is what I have to do. And it's that great competition. But in retrospect, I think we have to be people that are collaborating with one another and saying, this is our area and we want the best for our area and play a small part in that. So Southeast Texans have a great culture and we have to lean into that instead of shy away from it.
I like that. I like that lean in part because we lean in on a lot of different people within our communities, right? Especially as a small business owner.
Yeah.
And how does this community in Southeast Texas play a role in your business, in your day-to-day business? Heather, would you like to answer that?
The people who live in the community are your patrons. They're us. We sit at the same, tables. Although we don't know someone, that's who we sit with. That's who we network with. Just the networking, that's your community. I was born and raised in Vidor, live there today. So that location for me, the community, they're my people, I'm their go-to place.
Mm-hmm. And for you, how does the community play a vital role in your day-to-day operations for your business?
I think the best example, we all went through Harvey in 2017. We opened up the Vidor store by Rikenjaks. That was our second one. We had a goal of opening up one restaurant a year for 10 years, and that was kind of our liquidity event exit strategy that we had as my partner and I got older. And in 2017, we opened up, and 6 months later, we were closed because of Harvey. And the water never made it into the restaurant, thankfully, but it definitely affected our local economy drastically. So the community was incredible because that store turned into a depot and a collection area. And I feel very strongly about the fact that when we have those natural disasters, we have to show the community that we're not there to just take, that we're also there to give back. So a big part of our company mantra, I hate to use those buzzwords, but is when those things arise, we try to jump in immediately and provide resources, food, electricity, just to charge your phone. So for the community, you have to show them that you're not just there to take, that you have to be an active part of the give back process. The difficulty that we run into, I'm not sure you do, when everybody here does, is every day we get an email or an Instagram or Facebook message looking for donations for somebody's softball team or cheer sponsorship or local organization. And we want to say yes to every one of them, but fiscally you can't. So we've, over 20 years, we've tried to develop packages that we can donate back to the community that don't really have a financial impact negatively on us. We can't just write everybody a $500 check. But what we do now is we turn over whatever resource we have for a period of time back to that organization, back to the community, with rebate dinners and things like that. So I guess to summarize it, you have to show them that when things are not good, you're still there for them. And that you actually are a member of the community and you just don't say you are, that you actually do it.
And that's a good point. We often get asked for different donations and things, but as a business owner, you have to make those hard decisions. It's not that you don't want to provide, you want to give back to your community, just like we encourage the community to shop local, right? And as shopping local, you're supporting those initiatives that you just spoke about. So that's a good thing. And that's how our community plays a role with small business, the ecosystem for entrepreneurs, is that the community gives and shops and supports small businesses, and the small businesses in turn support the community. And it's a give, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Heather, when your business face unexpected challenges like hurricanes, staffing issues, or economic shifts, what strategies helped you stay resilient?
Oh, wow. So since purchasing a final location in 2017, what happened in 2017? Harvey, right? I'd owned my business for 6 months, and more than 50% of my community was flooded. So what do you do whenever your house is flooded? You don't have flood insurance. You start cutting out things that you don't have to have. Gym, although I think is a necessity, most people don't think that way. So that's the first thing that they start cutting out. So for us, that huge loss of revenue after Harvey, it was difficult. And to not, I lost the revenue, but I kept the people, because I said, hey, look, I understand what you're going through. You've had your membership for 10 years, stay. Tell me how much time you need. I comped their membership. I did what it took to, I'm like, you still need to come to the gym. You still need an outlet for the frustration that you're going through rebuilding your home and, demoing things. So just letting them just say, hey, just come. Of course I didn't have to do that for everyone. We were shut down for, no electricity. So we were shut down. So I'm, let people know, hey, we're going to not charge you this month. I had members who said, absolutely not. You're still going to charge me. I still go to work. I still have a job. This is your livelihood. So no, you still charge me. Same thing after COVID. We were shut down for 2 months, and I learned my lesson from Harvey, right? Whenever I was like, hey, I'm not going to charge anybody. I sent out emails that were, hey guys, let me know how you want to proceed, and I had a handful of people who said, yeah, put me on a freeze or whatever the case may be. But most of my members supported me and said, nope, we know that it's not your fault that you're shut down. Got to run to that team. So we're still going to support you. And because I supported them whenever they needed it, they supported me whenever I did. And I think that's, playing back to what Frankie mentioned earlier about your community, it's just building that rapport with your members, with your customers.
And Stephen, do you have an example?
Well, I think it's the ability to pivot. Anytime that there is a disaster, whether it's a natural disaster, whether it's COVID or things that maybe it's just a financial crisis when you don't have the best quarter in your business that you were thinking. 24 was a tough year for us in real estate. We had several good years. And then the ability to look at the things that are essential and then the things that you need to trim and not be afraid to make those cutbacks. I think as small business owners, we are such proud people of the brands that we build that sometimes we don't want to give into that and say, well, I might need to trim this or I might need to cut this back. Do it because it's for the sake of the long run. And everybody's going through the same economic crunch that you are. So I would say when it's time to pivot, pivot a little bit. It doesn't mean that you're changing your core values. It just means that you're recognizing the times and not burying yourself.
Thank you. Frank, what are some of the hurdles you experienced in scaling or growing your business?
I tell people all the time that the second one is the hardest because you have to split yourself into, and I speak from a restaurant perspective where it's very labor intensive, it's very capital intensive. We opened the first one in 2004. We opened Goodfellas in 2009, 30 days before the economic crash of 9, 10, 11 that we all went through. The challenge is to learn how to, I've had to step back and learn to not micromanage myself and micromanage my team, almost fire myself. And when I changed my mindset in scaling, my personal income not only doubled, tripled, quadrupled. It's not that much, but it got bigger when I learned to not worry about some of the things that I used to think moved the needle. My business partner said to me one time, he says, do you want to make 100% out of one location or do you want to make 80% out of 5 locations? And that hit a button. And so now the things that I used to think did move the needle and mattered really don't. So for scaling, I have to learn how to let go and let the team do what they do and let them breathe, and then put another team in place and put another team in place. It may sound arrogant, but it's truthful that at this point, we're not afraid to jump off and do multiple locations because we have that infrastructure in place of a team. It takes an absolute group to do what we do because every day is hundreds of variables to every store. Every table is another transaction. So for scaling and growing your business, I guess you have to fire yourself and learn to let somebody else go.
I'm learning that lesson.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
and when
you know.
you do that, it's terrifying.
Yes.
You're gonna lay awake at night and go, I used to worry about the cost of the paper goods and the pound of chicken and things like that. And now we have a regional manager that handles the stores on a day-to-day basis. We have a social media group. We have 2 people that work for us. We have a maintenance department that is our people. And we used to handle all that ourselves. And we were driving ourselves crazy. And we had no personal life. We had no satisfaction. We weren't getting to enjoy the fruits of our labor. I have a 2.5-year-old son now, and my priority is to spend time with my son. And I'm able to do that because I've learned to, let go.
You've learned to work.
Yeah.
Instead of working in your business, you work on your business.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I guess, fire yourself, make sure but you still got to keep an eye on things. You can't just let it go. We're still in the stores every day. After I leave here today, I'll head to the fire store for the afternoon to go check on them and see how things are going. So absolutely.
And that's a great point. Sometimes we're our own worst enemies, right? We try so hard to stay on top of everything and micromanage, if you will, but you have competent folks on your team. Let them do what they need to do so you can step back and look at it from a different perspective, but yet still stay involved in your business.
I read a book once, and I can't remember the author. It was about being a franchisee, and something that really stuck with me on it was, he said, if you buy a business, if you start a business, and you are working in that business every day, you're going up there, you're there constantly. You didn't buy a business, you bought a job, right? So you can go work for anybody, and when you clock out, that time's your own. When you're in your business, you have to, like Frankie said, have that work-life balance, and that just stuck with me. And I've tried to start doing that myself. It's very difficult, but I'm working on it.
That's good. So Heather, how did you approach marketing and brand building in the early stages of your franchises when you purchased both of the franchises? And what would you do differently now, today?
Fortunately, with being a part of a franchise, they do help you, when you're setting up your Google page, your web pages, your social media accounts. They have things that, they post on your behalf on social media, right? Like just content that goes across the brand. That doesn't get any traction with people. It doesn't come across their pages. It might be on your pages, but organic content, like really your staff posting videos, posting pictures, just starting a conversation with people who follow you. It took me a long time to really learn that lesson. And I still struggle with it now because I don't like social media. I personally don't get on it that often. So to do it for my business, I force myself. But having someone, designating someone, find someone who's good at that, find someone who does post, who does love social media, and just give that to somebody else if you have to. If you love it yourself, use it, and hopefully it's worked to your advantage. But marketing has really been one of my struggles because I'm not that put myself out there person. I'm more, sit in the back and just work I was going to cuss, but he told me not to. Work to grow my business, but learning, how to market, utilizing marketing companies to help you, because we don't know. There are so many things that change every day with Meta. It's ridiculous. And how, running ads. Yeah. And how you get buried, election time. You never really spend a lot of money in Meta ads because they're buried under every political ad out there. So don't waste your money. Just that things that I didn't know, and I wouldn't know unless I was in the marketing business, which I'm not. Just giving it to somebody else.
Yep.
Letting a professional handle that for you. The money that you're going to pay them to do it for you, you're going to get that back. Definitely.
Yeah, and your return of investment will come back twofold, right? If you find the right fit to help you with your marketing plan. And that's good advice. Thank you. Stephen, what are a few things you wish you could tell your younger self?
Don't take yourself so seriously. I think starting out, you are on this mission to prove everyone wrong. And that's just the way we're wired. That's the entrepreneur spirit, is that you're like, I am going to do this and I'm going to do it differently than everybody else did. And then maybe in a couple years that edge softens and you're like, oh, these people want the best for me like I want the best for me. And you start realizing that collaborating with other people. I have a dedicated lunch once a month with another brokerage owner in Southeast Texas who is my direct competition. But he and I are friends, and we get together and we just vent, honestly. And I think that I would tell myself, lean into those people that are already in the industry that have hit the potholes in that industry and you can learn from. He gave me some really good advice 2 weeks ago. I was about to step in a really big pothole, and it's in us to grow and it's in us to do things. And that collaboration probably saved me some heartache. It probably saved me some time. And while the opportunity could very well have been a great one in a lot of people's eyes, I think that collaboration and that wisdom for somebody that had already been there was a huge asset to me. And had I been that person that's just like, well, this is my business and this is the way I want to run it. Sometimes there's a little bit of insight and wisdom from listening to the people that are your competition because they've been there before and they've already done it and they've run those traps and said, hey, that may or may not work. And I want to follow up on marketing. I'm not a franchise owner, so everything that we do is on the back of what we can produce. And so I hired a marketing director who runs my social media, but also one of the things that we realize is that people love video. Real estate is a lot of times is about pictures. You want to see the inside of the home. So we started in 22. My agents were not big fans of this because it put them in front of the camera. But we started doing videos on every single property that we listed, putting them on YouTube, making them. I think we started off doing like 2.5, 3 minutes and realizing that people were falling off like at 55 seconds. Mm-hmm. And so we kind of we pivoted, right? So we trimmed those backs, and that YouTube channel now has over 75,000 views in the last 3 years. While that's not phenomenal for a little guy from Southeast Texas, it tells me that we're getting homes in front of people because we found the avenues that they were looking for and really pushed into them. And I pay for that. Like I paid for the drone, I pay for the guy to go out and video it. There's not a lot of brokers that do that, but it's something that I feel is very important. Not only to my agents, but to our clients that we're serving. We want to give them the best service. And if TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram, all those avenues that people are watching, we need to be in front of them in that aspect. So find your marketing where your people are, even if it makes you uncomfortable, and land there because that's where your people are.
That's a good point. Thank you. Frank, how do you retain a team and effectively manage a large group of people?
I guess it goes back to what we were saying earlier about empowering people. First, you got to find the right people, and after the decades of what we've done, I can walk into a room and I can meet somebody that's interviewing for a job, or I can pretty much tell pretty soon whether they're going to fit our team just by their energy and their delivery. We like to put people in place and let them breathe. I said that before. I tell the staff that when we do our initial in-services, when we do a new location or we do our quarterly trainings and things like that, I often ask the staff, and I don't know if you remember this or not, we worked together many years ago. I asked them, say, who's the most important person in the building? And some server will raise their hand and they'll say, well, the customer is the most important person in the building. I say, well, yes, but no. And then somebody will raise their hand and they'll point at me. They'll say, you're the owner. You're the most important. I said, no, absolutely not. I say the most important person in the building is probably the dishwasher. And he's the guy in the back that's probably paid the lowest amount of money in the room. And most of you might not even know his name, but if he doesn't clean those dishes, and this is a metaphor for any small business really, we can't put new food on that plate if we don't have those plates. And new food is new revenue. So treat him with the same level of respect and realize that every single person in that building is as important as everybody. And we say this all the time, that nobody is more important. Even myself as the owner, truthfully, the banks are the owner until we pay that off, or the SBA. By the way, thank you, appreciate it. They did our first round of financing 20 years ago. They loaned us $150,000, and they started the business. And now, and again, this is not meant to sound arrogant, but now our projects are in the $3 to $5 million range. So, but it's all relative. It's the numbers are all relative. So my thing about that is retaining a team is to empower people, give them the autonomy to make decisions and support their decisions. When they don't make good decisions, teach them how to make a good decision, and let them breathe and let them do their thing. And at our stores, most of our GMs are female GMs. I don't know the relevance of that, but we prefer that management style. It tends to be more of understanding. In hospitality, we deal with a lot of variables. Social media, if on one hand you want to ignore it, and especially in the restaurant business, we get held to a completely different standard than any other industry. But we let those people do their jobs and support them in their decisions. We don't say that we're family. We say that we're a team, because family gets taken advantage of, So I'd rather be a team that goes in and does a good job. And our staff knows that, and they reach out to us when they're having problems, and we help them. But also as a small business owner, as an employer, you can help people, but you don't have to employ them. So if they're taking advantage of you, you can still be a resource for them. In the restaurant business, we deal with a lot of, specifically in Louisiana, because of the casinos, there's a lot of drug use in Lake Charles, because people come from Houston, they go to the casinos. That permeates its way throughout the entire hospitality industry in Lake Charles. We see a lot of people that we employed over there come from pasts with criminal records and things like that. They're looking for an opportunity. A lot of jobs won't hire somebody with a criminal past. You can be a line cook with a criminal past. So we deal with a lot of that. So we try to help them and support them, but we also don't let ourselves get taken advantage of. We don't have to employ them to help them. I guess is my biggest statement for that.
Thank you. Stephen, everyone has dreams to hit them big, but how do you set your business up for success?
You know, I think more than anything, you have to identify what kind of business you want to run and how you're going to run that. And to me, I didn't know that at the very beginning. When you're starting a small business, it's about profit and loss. That's just the way, because if you can survive the first 12 to 18 months, statistics show that you have a greater chance of surviving if you can make it through that. So it's almost head above water, because you've got this great idea. Then you realize, oh my gosh, not everybody agrees with that idea. And so to me, I found out probably 7 years into starting Countryland Properties that I needed to have core values about who I was and what I wanted from my company. And so we put out 5 core values, and everything that we did was underneath the umbrella of those 5 core values. If it didn't fall under that umbrella, we didn't do it. And we missed a lot of opportunities, but it was because we honed our vision and just said, this is what we're going to be. It also helped me get the right people on the bus. And by that, I mean on the team. There are countless agents that come in newly licensed that sit in front of me and are like, hey, I want to join your team. And I am the first one to go onto social media and Facebook stalk them. Like, I'll just be honest with you. I want to see their life. I want to see what they post. I want to see what they do. How do they live? Do they align with the values that we have? And if I would have established those in the beginning, it probably would have saved a lot of heartache. But when we aligned that, when we discovered who we were and what we wanted, we then began to put the right people on the bus at the right time. And that culture mentality of not just, hey, are you breathing? Yes, you can be an agent here. It was, hey, do you align with who we are? Faith is really big to me. And so if I bring somebody in that may not be a core value of theirs, there's a potential storm brewing that may create some difficulties. And then you got to face the challenge of, how do I let this person go? Or how do we shift gears? Do I change my values? And every agent that comes in now knows, like, hey, it's on my wall. We talk about it. It's knowledge, relationship, integrity, efficiency, and value. Everyone's got value in our industry and inside of our office. So I think defining who you are, knowing your culture is really, really important.
And that's important for small business owners to understand their mission, understand their vision, right? Their culture for their company, as well as their core values, and live by them. That's what develops your brand. That's what develops your culture. And people understand and respect that about your business once they get into it. And I want to reference getting the right people on the bus. If you haven't read the book, Good to Great, that's the book, Good to Great. And it talks about getting the right team, getting the right people on your bus, and making it work for you, okay? And that's the reference he was referring to. All right, we're going to get into a lightning round here, and I've got 3 questions. Each one of you are going to answer each question, okay? And I'm going to start with Frank. Okay, Frank? Mm-hmm. Give us an example of a tool or app you can't live without.
Wow. I'd like to live without Facebook. Is anybody else in the restaurant industry here? I saw Jeff LB's is here, Liz Fox is here. I'd like to live without Facebook, but Facebook for us is vital and it's necessary because it gives us literal cameras into our competition. We can see their promotions, we can see their pricing structure, we can see the way they handle and resolve issues, which is, I think we're very good at. And I think a restaurant or any business for that matter shouldn't be merited based on the problem. It should be merited based on how they resolve the problem. And all too often in our industry, people will come and they'll eat and they won't have a pleasant experience, and they'll say 1 out of 5 stars, never going back. And they won't let us know about the problem. So as reluctant as I am to give Facebook credit, I think social media has ruined the restaurant industry. I know I sound very negative, but I'm generally a pretty positive person. Social media has made everyone an expert, right? We all know this, and everybody likes to argue on social media. So we can't live without Facebook, but we need to learn how to harness it. You were saying about your marketing, things like that. We're making a big pivot this year to try to make our social media more social and less informational. We're trying to personalize it more to try to connect with the people that come eat with us. So for Rikenjaks Lumberton, we have an 18-hole miniature golf course there at the restaurant. So we're trying to lean into more pictures of families enjoying that, so that people can see what opportunity experience they have. So Facebook, I hate it, but gotta have it.
Sure.
Okay, Stephen, a tool or app you can't live without?
The app I said earlier, YouTube. YouTube is a very big vehicle for us. It is the #2 search engine separate from Google. So a lot of people in our industry, if they're looking for real estate, they're saying homes in Orange, Texas, homes. They're using that because they want to see it. They want to touch it. They want to feel it. So for me, YouTube is a very, very big tool. And then secondly, that's not an app, but I think every small business owner has to find an avenue for them that's not work related. Studies show that if you work with your hands all day, you need to work with your brain in the evening. If you work with your brain all day, then you need to work with your hands. So I love to tinker. I've got an old 79 Ford that I'm messing with. It is a hands-on experience. It was the first truck that my dad bought for us whenever my brother is 2 years older than me. So I work with that in the evenings, and I play a lot of golf because I can hit that little white ball as many times as I want to, and I don't go to jail. Nobody gets in a mess. So it's a really good thing.
Heather?
2 answers. Business, obviously, Facebook, you've got to, get out there and market yourself. And that's the way to do it. I hate it, but it's the reality. Personally, TikTok, because that's sometimes my escape. I just got to watch some funny animal videos, right?
That's cute. And you might want to do a TikTok video too. Okay, no.
Don't want me doing a TikTok video.
Okay, best business decision you've ever made? Heather?
Oh, wow. I guess just jumping in and starting it, number one. But right now we are remodeling our businesses, doing a complete facelift. We finished up Bridge City in January. That was a 5-month long process. We expanded by almost 750 square feet, changed out all of the flooring, painted all the walls, added in new equipment. Like, it was a big project, and I was scared to death to do it because I had just bought the business. We were finally making some money, and to do this remodel, I was terrified because of the additional expense, but doing it, it's beautiful. I'm so proud of it. A place that I hated walking into every day because when I bought it, it was very dirty. It was not maintained. It was not clean. I struggled walking in every day because what fresh hell am I walking into today? But that's no longer the case because everything is fresh and new, clean. It's beautiful. I'm proud of it. So, that might be a silly one, but I really think that doing these remodels, it refreshes me as well. My members walk into a fresh new place, but it's refreshed me.
And that's good. It's a feel good, right?
It is.
It makes you motivated. It motivates you. Stephen, best business decision you've made? Don't tell me several.
No, I'll tell you one. So the best thing that I did is after COVID pushed a lot of our agents to work remotely. And at that time we had 3 offices, which is a lot for a guy that's paying the bills. And when that happened, we merged all three offices into one office, and it was the best decision that I made. I left the office that I had officed in Mauriceville. I'd been in that office for 22 years, and I felt like people were going to think they're going backwards because of that. And it really strengthened our company because we all fell underneath one roof. It aligned our company a whole lot better. So what we initially perceived may be a step back was actually a unifying process. So, yeah, merging offices.
And Frank, best decision you've ever made?
One of the best decisions was to close a business. There's nothing wrong with looking at your situation and going, it's not working. In my life, I have to either get a return on the investment in one of two ways. I have to make a check, or I have to be satisfied and eager to be a part of it. Because a lot of times in the restaurant business, we don't make any money. There's a lot of months that we dump a lot of money. COVID was a great example. 22 and 23 were the worst years in 20 years that we ever saw. Closing a business. We closed Goodfellas after 3 years. It was a beautiful restaurant. I was very proud of it. I didn't know what I was doing personally at the time. I didn't really understand that side of fine dining and realized it wasn't the world I wanted to be part of. So we closed that. We closed the old Pace Setter in Beaumont. We bought that, changed it to Bar Local. Had it for 5 years. It was very, very profitable. Little Woodrow's came in, changed the dynamic of that parking lot. COVID came, and I called up Robert, our regional manager, after a year of paying the lease for COVID for us to be closed because it was a bar. And they announced that we could reopen. And Blake Haber is here. Where's Blake? Blake, thank you. He was very helpful. That's not Blake.
No,
I can't see here, but I can see that. Blake Hopper was very helpful. He put me on a lot of phone calls from state reps and congressmen and things like that during COVID. But we closed that place. I said to Robert, we're not reopening. We're out. There's a property in Lake Charles that we have right now called Panorama Music House. It's downtown Lake Charles. We have Rikenjaks on Ryan Street. It's been there for 9 years. It's very successful. Panorama Music House, COVID, the hurricanes, 2 freezes, and a flood in 2020. They had 5 federally declared natural disasters in Lake Charles in 1 year. Downtown is suffering. So Panorama Music House, we're debating on whether we're going to keep that property or not. Madison's in Beaumont in 4 years. We're probably not going to renew the lease because it's getting to the point in Beaumont where it's underperforming the liability. So it's okay to take your personal and emotional attachment to a business. It's just a business.
Yeah.
We're here. You can't take nice or thank you to the bank. You have to pay the bank. So we always buffer our decisions with whether we're going to retain that or not. So the best decision I think I ever made was sometimes you have to stop doing what you're doing and reallocate your asset, your brain and your money to something else. So, yeah.
That's good advice. It's hard to take the personal out of it though, especially when you have the years and years of blood, sweat, and tears into it, right? But it doesn't mean that you can't pivot and go and take it to a different direction. Okay, we're going to wrap this up. We've got 5 minutes. We have one final question for each of you. You each have about a minute to answer this question. What advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs in the room today? Frank, we'll start with you.
Good advice. Boy, it's all subjective. When we develop a business plan for something or we think we're going to jump off into a project, we don't go into it with pie in the sky ideals, like it's going to be great, it's going to be easy, and we're going to make a bunch of money. We go into the plan, and I can't say the word, but it's if it doesn't work, how are we going to maintain it, or how are we going to get out of it? So we go into the plan knowing that we can sustain the investment even if it doesn't go the way we want to go. We don't think it's going to be easy, so that when it is easy, it's easy, because like I said, in our business, there'll be many, many months that we don't get a paycheck. June, July, and August are terrible months because of summer vacations. And, of course, the last 4 years have been an economic nightmare. But so we always slow down in the summertime, but we build our business plans and we run lean and we learn how to do those corrective measures prior. Like right now, April and May, we have meetings with all the GMs to go over their labor schedules to reduce our labor budgets by about 15% going into the summer. So I think the best advice, I'll wrap it up, is just be aware that it may not work. And how are you going to pay those bills and pay the employees? We're the last people to get a paycheck. But when we do, it should be bigger than theirs because we're taking all the risk, right? As owners.
Yeah.
And don't feel guilty about that either.
Right.
You know, I have a nice house and a new car, but I've worked 22 years to get to that point.
Yeah.
So yeah, just go into it with some realistic expectations and be prepared to put money back into the, don't go into it undercapitalized.
Yeah.
A lot of people go into the restaurant business with 50 grand, 100 grand, they retired from the plant. They cook good steaks and they want to have their friends over and sell beer. I don't cook. I don't get the kitchens. I can if I have to, but understand that it may not go the way you think it's going to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stephen?
All right. So every decision that you make is made up of micro decisions. There's a book that I live by. It's Atomic Habits by James Clear. Everything that you do in life is made up of little bitty decisions that you make along the way. Those little decisions are bigger than the big decisions that you make because I have a statement that's in our office. It says, discipline will carry you when motivation won't. Disciplined people wake up every day. It is not flashy, it is not fancy, but it is consistent. So I would say be consistent in whatever you choose to do. If you say you're going to do something, don't try it for 2 weeks and then say, it didn't work. Like we have a rule that we don't do anything if we're not willing to do it for 6 months and give it a look. So every decision that you make made up of really small ones, but make those small ones count. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And Heather?
Just because you love what you're doing, like I love being an owner of a gym. Like I love it. I think, I work out, my family works out. Just because you love something and are passionate about it doesn't mean you're going to be a good business owner, right? You need to have some business acumen, whether you attended college or you learned it on the job. I was started out at Home Depot as a part-time cashier when I was 19 years old, and within several years worked my way up to store manager. And I jokingly say that the Home Depot has the best business school. They taught me extensively about P&Ls and budgeting, and lots of people, they don't have that knowledge. They don't understand it, and you will, to Frankie's point earlier, put yourself in a hole. You've got to learn how to, if you're doing well, put money back, saving up for what I'm going through right now, remodels. You've got to keep, if you have brick and mortar, you have to do upkeep. You have to change things, styles change, and you've got to stay with it. So just, don't just think, oh, this is what I want to do right now. You've got to have a plan well into the future and know yourself. Know your limitations. If it's something that's out of your scope, bring in somebody to help or learn it, figure it out. Utilizing resources. I'm the queen of utilizing resources. If I don't know it, I'm going to find somebody who does.
Right.
I want to thank all three of you for your time today and being on this panel. You've given us some insight and some great advice. And you're going to all three be here for the rest of the day for questions. If anybody has a question, feel free to reach out to them. And that's a wrap. Thank you very much.
Thank you.